Good morning. Thanks for joining us today for this webinar with our friends from Datto. Datto is the market leading solution provider for business continuity and disaster recovery solutions. And Intellicom is a blue diamond partner with Datto, which is the highest designation that Datto has available. My name is Brian Kuntz. I'm VP of Operations with Intellicom. And joining me from Intellicom today are John Elliott, VP of Business Development from Intellicom, and Craig Peshek and Zach Deeds, our senior account managers, are going to be available after this presentation for questions. From Datto, we have Eric Torres today, Director of Channel Development, and he'll be leading the presentation, and Alex Aguirre, Channel Manager for Datto, I believe is just attending the presentation today. So the format for today is this. We chose a 30-minute webinar. Everyone's time is valuable. There's so much going on in today's world, so we want to keep it short and sweet and value your time. We will have, a little bit of time for questions at the end, and of course, we're going to draw for a couple of laptops that Datto generously donated to the event. So if you want to stick around for questions after the event, or hit us up offline, you can reach out to your account manager. I think we'll have a call to action on the last slide too, Eric. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric Torres for our presentation. Thanks, Eric.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian, and thank you all for joining us. I know your time is valuable. That's why we're trying to pack as much valuable information here into the next 30 minutes and get you guys going about your day. As mentioned, I'm Eric Torres, Director of Channel Development for Datto. I'm one of the evangelists. I do all of the virtual events, all of the in-person industry events, and educate the community on what's happening out there as far as cyber threats, and more importantly, what you can do to mitigate some of those risks that are out there. Real briefly about Datto ourselves, we are the world's leading provider of business continuity solutions. We only partner with experts that build and design and maintain these beautiful networks. And that's why we're partnering with Intellicom. As Brian mentioned, they are one of our top tier partners. And they're the ones that build these beautiful networks. We are simply one of the tools they use to make sure that network is always up and always running in the event of unplanned downtime. We do have a global footprint. We have data centers and offices all over the world, but rest assured, all the data in the US stays within the US borders. Now, we're here to talk about the cyber threats that are out there. And nowadays, we can't pick up a newspaper or read an article online without hearing about the latest threat. Earlier this year, it was the Colonial Pipeline. And that was major national news. It shut down and a pipeline, and everybody heard about it. But what is not being shared are all the smaller attacks that happen. And it is very prevalent. There are cases of throughout COVID, hospitals are getting attacked. And these are a lot less likely to happen, but they are happening. Now, when we bring that down to the small and medium-sized business level, here's an example I like sharing. Here's a small organization, an allergy clinic in South Carolina, and they had a ransom attack. And this one I particularly latched onto due to the amount of the ransom ask. 1.75 million. This was one of the largest ransom asks of a small to medium-sized business. Usually when you see numbers like this, they're going after the large newsworthy attacks. This is just they happened to get lucky and they got through. And once they figured out that there was critical healthcare information that was ransomed, then they raised their ask. So the fact is this: we are under attack, and it is all of us. It is not one particular industry. It is affecting every single industry, from healthcare to government, municipalities, education, professional services, financial institutions, and even us ourselves, technology providers. So as we uncover this, I'm going to walk you through why they're attacking, how they're attacking, and then how to mitigate these risks. So why are you being targeted? And it's due to the information that you have. Also, what they are finding and what we are finding as well, more often than not, small to medium-sized businesses that aren't under the watchful eye of a managed service provider like Intellicom, their security defense is often lacking. And that's what we need to do. We need to fortify the house, if you will, and keep the bad guys out, but also have a plan in place that if they happen to get in, that we are protected. Now, when you look at ransomware itself, how often is it happening? And I pay particularly close attention to all of the stats that are out there. I'm not going to bore you with these one by one, but the one that I narrow in on is the one at the bottom of the page here. A business is hit with ransomware, just in the US alone. Businesses hit with ransomware every 13 seconds. That is how prevalent this is happening. That is how much money is at stake. That is how much the bad guys are out there just shooting their shotgun approach, saying, okay, I'm going to target every single company I can, and it is working. And it's so prevalent that our Department of Treasury came out last year, it was last year as of last month, and gave a ransomware advisory. Now, our government is currently in talks to make paying ransomware illegal, because it is happening so often. And what they're looking at it is essentially, you are funding terrorism by paying that. It's no different than funding actual ransom. When if somebody happens to get kidnapped and ransomed, that is also against the law. And I know that as of early in October of this year, that there was even more advanced legislation in talks, where the government is thinking about making it a law that if you do get ransomware, you have to notify the government about that. Now, what we're seeing is a lot of companies aren't notifying anybody. They're paying the ransom and hoping that they get their data back, because they don't want anything to tarnish their brand that they work so hard in building. Now, in order to understand how these attacks happen and how to prevent these attacks, you have to start by looking at the internet itself. Where do these attacks generate from, and how do people even spread it? So if you look at the anatomy of the internet, where you and I live on a daily basis, where we do our shopping, where we get our news, that's the surface web. And below that, anything behind a firewall, anything you have to log into, medical records, financial records, student records, anything like that, behind a firewall, that's the deep web, that's secured. And then below that's the dark web. And the dark web is a vast and scary place. If you add up the deep web and the dark web, that's 96% of all of web traffic. And I will also share with you this: if anybody has happened to venture onto the dark web, I've done it once. It is an immensely scary place. I had one of my engineers show me what it was and how to log in and be protected in doing so. Literally anything you can think of, you can find on the dark web. And that is a scary, scary thought. And that is where these bad guys lurk. So let's look at the evolution of the cyber threats and who the threat groups are. We know ransomware is prevalent, and we're simply not going to be able to stop it. We have to have a plan in place that says, if you get ransomware, you're protected through a different technical manner. But ransomware developers are alive and well, and they're making a ton of money doing it. Early on in COVID and up until today, we saw the rise of insider threats. A lot of companies were tightening their belts. They were furloughing people, laying people off, cutting positions, cutting back hours. We saw an increase of insider threats with employees or ex-employees with an axe to grind that were actually going on the dark web and selling their credentials, saying, yes, I'll leave a door open for you. Just give me some money and we can both make money at this. That is on the rise as well. Now, with the amount of money exchanging hands, organized crime, of course they want their cut. And believe me when I say that these are full-blown organizations. There are cases where these are almost more run like a company than an organization, where they have customer service reps, sales reps, because they actually sell the code on the dark web. They have technical support where they help you to pay your ransom to them faster. So these are full-blown organizations and not lone wolves sitting in their parents' basement that are attacking and making money. We also have this narrowed down to a couple different nation states, criminal terrorist nation states that simply don't like America, that are targeting us even more so now than ever before. And then the last thing that quite worries me is, and I hate industry buzzwords, but the Internet of Things, IoT. Think about how many of us went to go work from home overnight and early in 2020, and then all the different devices that are connecting to our home networks, or even getting introduced to the business networks. I have Alexa running my whole house, the lights, the security system, my front door locks, my thermostat. All of these potentially include vulnerabilities because on that same network, we are conducting business transactions. So this is the next thing that we are looking at when it comes to data protection. So how are they attacking? How are they getting through and past these very well-constructed security layers? Well, they're doing it mostly in some pretty unsophisticated ways. They're using brute force. That's where you're using a password cracker to basically try to find an easy to crack password. If your passwords are the known easy ones, password 123 or QWERTY 123, these are easily hacked. And what is happening is these password crackers used to take immense compute power in order to work. Now you can do it with a simple laptop and about $20 on the dark web. You can get a password cracker and in a matter of minutes, break a relatively easy password. Another way that they're getting in is they're gaining access through non-secure password managers. If you are saving your passwords in your browser and your laptop, your device, your workstation is infected or corrupted in any manner, the first place they're looking is your internet browsers. How many of your passwords are saved in there? And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of taking the path of least resistance and making it easy on ourselves. And more often than not, we're clicking, yeah, save this browser for next time, and I'll log in. That's the first place that these bad guys look. There's also what is called credential stuffing. That is where if you have a compromised password that is out there on the dark web, it most likely is for sale. And if you haven't changed your passwords, it's out there for anybody to purchase. And these lists are exchanging hands every single minute. So think of it this way. If you had maybe it's someplace you shop online and they experienced a breach and your password was exposed, how many of you recycle that password, reuse that password for maybe your banking? Maybe it's a work password. Let's face it, how many of us have a different password for every single thing that we log into? That is where password managers come into play, and Intellicom can recommend some fantastic, highly encrypted password managers. We use one here at Datto, but there are methods of doing this. So one, you change your passwords, different passwords for everything, and yet only one password to really remember. And then the last way that they're getting in is through phishing. And that's the sending an email, getting somebody to click on a link, open up a backdoor, open up an attachment that has malware written into the code of that attachment. This is the #1 way that people are getting in. Sending something through email, be it a document or the email itself with a link, and getting somebody to click on it. So people are your greatest risk when it comes to this. You can invest in the best security, the best technology, but it's people that more often than not are letting the bad guys in. And it's our job, both at Datto and with Brian and his team at Intellicom, to keep you protected. And we do that in 3 basic ways. We train your people. We get your people to understand that security is everybody's responsibility. It is not just the IT department. It is not just your managed service provider. It's not just Intellicom. This is all of our roles. We have to be aware of what we're clicking on, what we're opening, how we're connecting to the network. If we're working remote, if we're working from the cabin, if we're working from a beach somewhere, how are we connecting to the work environment, and is it in a safe manner? The next area that we look at is the process. If you go down, if you experience a breach, if you experience unplanned downtime, do you and your staff know exactly what to do and who's responsible for what actions? This is where it becomes key to develop that disaster recovery plan. And then the third bit, which is what we're talking about today, is technology. What advancements have happened in technology that help mitigate these risks that are out there? Now, I hear about this all the time. I've got a great backup solution. Our data is already living in the cloud. It's out there, it's safe. Somebody else has that data, it's good to go. I don't need to worry about it. Well, that's great that you have your data living elsewhere. That's rule number one. Get your data living somewhere outside of your four walls. But you have to ask yourself, do you have a backup solution? Is your data just living elsewhere? Or a business continuity solution? Because there is a clear difference. And I'll explain it to you this way. Backup solution is just taking your data and moving it somewhere else. Anybody can provide that. You can provide that. You can plug in a USB drive and save data and put it in your car, take it home with you and have it at your house. That's a backup solution. Business continuity solution is all about the recovery of that data. If something goes down, how can I get that data back? How can I get back up and running as fast as possible? That is what business continuity is, keeping that business afloat. So we know that ransomware is running rampant. Quite frankly, we're never going to be able to stop it. But Intellicom is doing something about it. Intellicom provides you with true business continuity. And this is where I'm going to get a little technical, and I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to go too far into the weeds, but I just want to explain how this solution works, how true business continuity works, and what it means for your business. So let's look at Intellicom and Datto in action. On the left side of your screen, that is your infrastructure. That's your workstations, your servers. Maybe it's a virtual environment you have. Maybe it's even a hybrid of both. What we do is we implement, and it's our brand is Cirrus. That's our business continuity solution. We implement a solution to back data up as little as every 5 minutes. And we're backing up everything on that device or that server. So all of your files, your folders, your desktop background, your shortcuts, or even backing up your kids' pictures, just to make sure that if you ever needed to recover that device, it's exactly how you're used to working. We're also running through our technology, running through some various testing of that backup, testing of that data to make sure that everything is perfect. Everything is aligned. Everything is up and running. We're running through various verifications to make sure that that data is viable if something bad happened. By the way, every single backup we take, we're also scanning it for ransomware within the backup. So you have your security layers, and then you have your secondary security layer built right into the backup saying, let me just check this and make sure that ransomware didn't find a way that passed the security measures. So a second check for that ransom. Now, business continuity is this: at a moment's notice, we can recover that data and virtualize it, bring it right back at a moment's notice. That's what we can do with our on-prem device. So for example, if you go down, we literally flip a switch and pretend you didn't go down and virtualize that exact same server or laptop or workstation from the Datto and Intellicom solution. That's not it. We're taking it one step further, and we're also sending this data off-site. So we're sending it to 2 different data centers, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. And we have the ability to virtualize from both of those locations at a moment's notice as well. So that in the event of a complete building destruction, if a tornado rolls through or a fire, we're able to bring up your entire network from the Datto cloud and get you guys back up and running in a matter of minutes while you're rebuilding the office, while you're rebuilding your infrastructure. So what does this mean for your end users, for the employees on a daily basis? So you're working, and let's just say you do get ransomware and you see that red box pop up. Pure panic sets off. But if you're under the watchful eye of Intellicom and Datto, what we can do is simply go to that Datto solution and spin up an exact same image of that workstation from a different device, same files, same software, same applications, same desktop background, same kids' pictures, same music you listen to throughout the day. We literally flip a switch and bring that device right back through virtualization. The benefits of this, it reduces downtime. We can do this both locally from the on-site appliance or from the Datto cloud. And then this helps, and second time that I'll use industry buzzwords, RTO and RPO. What that stands for is recovery time objective and recovery point objective. Basically, what that means is your cost of downtime. How much downtime are you going to experience, and what is the cost of that? So let's see how it really works in a sense of downtime. So when you're looking at the true cost of downtime, some things you need to be aware of. Downtime costs are skyrocketing. At Datto, we run through a number of different surveys of both small and medium-sized businesses as well as our own partners. We know that in the past 2 years alone, it's just under a 500% increase in the total cost of downtime. Now, when you think about downtime, don't just think of it in a sense of if I get ransomware, what is the ransom ask? That's only a small piece of it, because it's lost productivity. It is the forensic investigation to see how that attack happened, the new security measures to make sure it doesn't happen again, as well as in most cases, you may have to purchase new hardware and rebuild the network. And due to supply chain issues right now, we're seeing you could be down for a week or two if you don't have hardware ready to go, if you don't have a business continuity solution in place, essentially rewinding the hands of time and getting you back up and running minutes after something bad happens. All of that time starts adding up, and suddenly that $30,000 ransom ask has blown up to $250,000 in unplanned downtime when you factor in all of the extra expenses. So as I close out here, I have something I do want to share with you. This is a recovery and downtime cost calculator. This is completely free. The fine folks at Intellicom can help you out with this, but through 10 easy questions about your business, about your staff, about your network itself, we can help estimate what an hour's worth of downtime will cost you, what a full day's worth of downtime will cost you, what your thresholds are for downtime. Some of you can say, yeah, I could be down for a matter of 4 hours, then I start panicking. Or maybe in your line of business, you could say, I can only be down for a matter of a couple minutes. And this calculator takes all of that into account, where you can confidently look at it and estimate and say, okay, now I understand what downtime costs my business. Now let's talk about mitigating those risks through the advancements of technology that Intellicom offers. So before I close out, for all of this information, for a simple needs assessment, a security audit, or the downtime calculator, all you have to do is send an email to sales@intellicominc.com. And the fine folks at Intellicom will reach out and walk you through this, talk to you, set up an appointment. For those of you that are tuning in, maybe you have a current provider that you're happy with, or maybe you have your own IT staff, your own IT department. This is the perfect time to get a second set of eyes on it, just to either say, hey, you guys are on the right path, everything's fine, or hey, we've uncovered certain things that you may want to look at. This is your time to ask the experts at Intellicom to come on in and take a look at your network. So with that, I will close out and give some time back for some questions. I know we have the raffle that Brian mentioned, but I want to thank you all for your time. I know time is incredibly valuable right now. And quite frankly, everybody's doing everything through Zoom and conference calls and things like that. So we wanted to pack as much info into this 30 minutes as possible. And I'll leave that email address up again, sales@intellicominc.com. And with that, hand it back over to Brian. Brian, I know you've got some giveaways, and if anybody does have any questions, there is the Q&A feature built right into the Zoom platform here. Feel free to ask anything.
I think all of our attendees are muted. So if you've got a question, use the Q&A app at the bottom of your screen, and we will monitor that for any questions. Hey, let's give away a couple laptops, and then we can kind of close out the session, Eric. So
sure.
I see we've got, let's see, 25 attendees on, and I think I'm just going to ask you for a number between 1 and 25, and we will just select it that way. Datto employees and Intellicom employees sure. Not eligible to win.
Yeah, let's go with
number?
Lucky number 10, my birthday. Okay.
Bear with me. I'm going to do this one more time just to make sure that we are counting correctly here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oh, the
I
suspense.
need a bigger screen here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Derek Hawk from Kappa. We will get you your HP laptop. That is in the office, in stock, no supply chain worries there. So Derek will reach out to you and schedule delivery of that.
Awesome.
And then we've got one other giveaway. So let's do the same thing between 1 and 25 again, Eric.
1 in 25. I will do. Let's do 3.
1, 2, 3. Well, this one may be a little trickier. So all I have is a first name, which is Amber. And we've got 2 Ambers on here. So Amber Gira and just Amber. If Amber, you would just type who you are in your Q&A, get a last name, we'll know what company you're from, and we'll get you taken care of. All right, so
yeah, I do see a couple
questions coming in here.
Yeah. There is one that came in through the Q&A. What password keepers does Intellicom recommend? And I'll leave that for you, Brian. And I can jump in and share what we use at Datto. And there's a number of really, really good solutions. We use OnePass as ours, but there's a number of really good ones that are out there.
Okay. Yeah, I think right now we use a product called LastPass, similar to what you use there, Eric, and I think that's what we'd recommend to our customers. And again, just reach out to that sales at email address, and your account manager can take care of getting that quoted if you're interested.
Yeah, I can't recommend a password manager enough. It's saved me so many times, and it's so convenient, but and they're fairly inexpensive. But yeah, definitely reach out to the folks at Intellicom and they can help out.
Great. Hey, another question for you, Eric. So had someone chat, hey, we currently have Datto. We know it backs up our server. Does it automatically back up workstations or well? Is that a different service? So you kind of talked about backing up laptop backgrounds and music and stuff like that. So does the Cirrus appliance do that, or is there an add-on to get workstations?
So it can. More often than not, you're not backing up every single workstation. That gets to be a bit redundant, but maybe mission critical ones. The owners of the company, the CFO, payroll, you may want to back up that one. There are a number of ones you can back up through the Cirrus solution that you can add to it, or there's other kinds of backups that we offer that Intellicom has, where it could be simply file level backups to make sure that your basic raw data is backed up. That is a different solution, as well as there's a backup for your data that's already living in the cloud. So for your Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, there's a different solution that backs that up as well. But it's not automatically doing it for you. So if you are concerned about workstations and other managed devices getting backed up, talk to your account rep and talk to the engineers and the folks at Intellicom, and they can make sure that we're taking care of you.
Sounds good. We had another question about Office 365, OneDrive, and SharePoint. I think you ended up answering that question as well. I have another one here that might be a little bit more technical. If we don't have the answer, Eric, we'll have someone reach out directly to a customer. But in your experience, how hard is it to spin up a virtual environment in the cloud and get your WAN provider to route traffic correctly? You have an answer for that, Eric, or do we need to?
I do. So that is something we're virtualizing from the Datto data center, and we own that data center. So we own that portion of it, and we can add as many resources to that, any technical resources needed to make sure that that's up and running. You are at the limitation of your bandwidth when you are doing that. So it is dependent on how fast your internet speed is. That's the lag that you may see. But when it comes to compute power, technical resources, and actual people helping get you online, we have an unlimited number of resources to do that for you.
Sounds good. So we are technically out of time. It's right at 11 o'clock. I thought, Eric, you did a very good job of packing a lot into a short piece of time there. Really like the format. If people have additional questions, reach out to your account manager or reach out to sales@intellicominc.com. Just in closing, I would just validate a couple things that Eric said today. So we talked about ransomware happening every 13 seconds, and I would tell you, we're not exempt here in Nebraska. So, just in this last year alone, I can recount some very high profile attacks that have happened in Nebraska, stuff that's actually making the news. And for every one that's making the news, there are probably 10 others that don't make the news. So this stuff is happening in Nebraska and even central Nebraska. So if you think it won't happen to me, you're probably incorrect, because it is, we are under attack, just like Eric said. And then, appreciate Eric sharing some stuff that's non-backup and disaster recovery related. So the password manager stuff that he talked about. Cyber insurance is something that didn't come up today, but that is something that we'd recommend highly. Multi-factor authentication is another great way of protecting yourself. Employee training is something that Eric recommended. So again, if you've got questions, they don't have to be about data. They could be about security. They could be about employee training. They could be just, are we doing everything we need to do to protect ourselves? And again, just to be respectful of time, let's take that offline and reach out to sales@Intellicom Inc. or reach out to your account manager, and we'll be happy to talk to you. So appreciate it, Eric. I think if we could clap and you could hear us, you would have an overwhelming response. But unfortunately, doing this remotely, we don't have that luxury. So with that, we're going to conclude the presentation and look forward to talking to you all. A lot of Datto customers on the call today, existing Datto customers, so appreciate your business, and we'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Thank you all. Take care. Stay safe.